Uh, let's see. My thoughts on the Sonic Genesis story arc that began this summer with 225. Well, my thoughts are they're kind of mixed right now. I mean, I like the fact that they're trying to bring in a new readership to um, to the comic. I know they're trying to satisfy as much of the fan base as they can, but to me, it's more the fact that you're trying to satisfy the whole fan base, but to me, what you're doing is you're also kind of separating it even more. Um, when Genesis began at the end of 225, a lot of fans were kind of pissed off. I mean, they they didn't like the fact that Ian Flynn, who's the head writer for the comic right now, had done what he did off screen to Sally by basically making it look like she was killed. And they didn't like that. Nor do they, even now, nor do they like the idea that you have the writer and the editor throwing all these different red herrings, if you will, all these different clues and hints and red herrings and stuff like that at them. They don't like it. I think what they want is a straight answer. They want a straight answer uh, from the heart. They want a straight answer from the people themselves of what's really going on. And I know and I know fans out there probably won't get that answer. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I was to look Ian Flynn right now right in the eye and say, hey, can you at least give us some kind of clue as to what's really going to happen? Can you please let me know what's really going to happen? He probably wouldn't tell me. He'd probably throw me, what I've been saying on a lot of the message boards. He'd been probably throwing me a curveball. So I can't really say yay or nay as to what he's got planned. Uh, and with this, after Genesis. But to me, getting back to what the question was, my thoughts on it was, again, I just have mixed feelings. I like it at first. I like it at first. I like the fact that they're trying to, like I mentioned at the beginning, try to bring in a new base of readership, a new fan base. In fact, they have said it themselves that this is the best jumping off points or jumping on points for new readership, for new fans. Um, do I feel that's true? I can't really say if it's true, and I can't really say if it's not. Has Genesis lived up to its hype? I can't really say right now. I mean, it looks like it has in some areas, but it really hasn't. Genesis, from what I understand, was basically, created as a celebration to tie in, as sort of a tie-in celebration of the 20th anniversary of the franchise, and that's why it was created. So I can't really say yay or nay. I mean, it looked like it had at first, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the final issue, and then with the implodge and whatever else. So, those are just my thoughts on it. Um, do I think Ian Flynn has backed himself up into a corner with this whole Genesis deal and what he's done with Sally and such? Well, I've said this in a variety of videos that I put on my YouTube channel. I've said this on some of the message boards that as much as people like to look at it as hate mail or as hatred or dislike, the first thing I want to make clear is I respect Ian Flynn. I do. Um, as a writer, because he's the first true. He's one of the first fans out there that went from being a fan to being part of the franchise itself as the head writer of the comic. But do I think he's backed himself up into a corner? Yeah, I'd have to say he has. I have to say that Ian has indeed backed himself up into a corner. Um, the reason I say that is because he he's not really giving a straight answer. So like I mentioned in the first question asked, he's not really giving a straight answer. Recently, they had a description out for the 232nd issue, and the description said, one of the things it said in the description, it said a fallen Sally, and then they changed it to Sally has fallen, so that kind of throws some fans off, and they're not really sure what he means by fallen. And that's what's pissing some fans, whether they like the character or not, really off right now, because he's not giving a straight answer. He's not saying exactly if Sally's dead. He's not saying if she's become evil, basically being legionized or roboticized. They're not sure if what's really going on. They're not sure if maybe she had to give up her family's title, if you will, to Nagas and allow him to become king or something. They're not really sure about all that. So I think honestly he has backed himself up into a corner. A lot of fans, including the former head writer Ken Penders, have always felt that Genesis was Ian's way of trying to finally write the book the way he wanted to write it. Kind of finally erase everything that took place before that and focus on something newer and fresher and more original. But I can't really say if Ken Penders was right about that at all. Some of the fans that agree with Ken Penders were right about that. Some fans, well, not some fans, but Ken Penders himself has even come out and said that he feels that Genesis was being created and written to basically avoid any association of anything he had created. Because, as everybody knows right now, Ken Penders has a lawsuit against Archie Comics going on, and some say it's a losing effort and some don't. But Ken Penders feels as though this is his, Archie Comics' way of trying to avoid everything. Ken Penders has even come out and said that, hey, if Ian ever does finally leave the book and leave the company, he's not sure if they treat him the same way they treated him. But honestly, I think, getting back to the question, yeah, I think Ian has backed himself into a corner, because some people, I've even said this myself, I'm pretty sure of it, that I believe Ian Flynn really didn't probably want to write Genesis just yet, or if he was going to write it, he didn't want to write it to the point that it had to tie in with the franchise's 20th anniversary, but I guess he had no choice. So honestly, yeah, again, getting back to the question, I think he has backed himself into a corner. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that all the conventions he's gone to, the Summer of Sonic, the Comic Cons and all that, I'm pretty sure he's been bombarded with questions and people wanting answers. So to me, it's very reminiscent as to what happened back in the early 90s when DC Comics decided to kill off Superman, and all the writers and people involved with it were getting cornered by people saying, hey, when is Superman coming back, or which one of you did this, I want to get him. And and some people even before that from what I understand, from what I saw in the documentary actually, were writing in letters saying don't do it, don't kill Superman, but yet they did. So I'm pretty sure Ian went through something like that already, and I'm pretty sure people associated with Ian, like Tracy Yardlin, went through something like that, and Paul Kaminsky and Ben Bates. So but yeah, I truly think Ian has backed himself into a corner, and I don't know if it's a corner he'll be able to get himself out of, without suffering some kind of consequence. Um, do I think Sega had a hand in this? Do I think Sega, basically, you're asking if I think Sega had a hand in the Genesis story arc being developed. Well, the answer to the question is yes, I think they did have a hand in it. And it wouldn't be the first time that Sega actually had a hand in anything Sonic related on the American side of the pond. From what I've read from Wikipedia and other news sites, sonicretro.org and stuff, places like that, Sega actually had a hand in SatAM actually being canceled, believe it or not. Some people blame the Power Rangers, some people blame ABC, but the truth is, Sega to me is actually the one that had a. But to me, I think you can blame all those people, and you have a right to, because not just all those people, but all those reasons. And again, like I said, you have a right to do that. But I think you also have to put the blame on Sega, because from what I understand, they wanted basically the series to be reconned, or basically retooled. The reason being is because the show was portraying Sonic in a way he wasn't supposed to be portrayed. So that's what, from what I understand there, and that was kind of shocking to me to find out that they actually had a hand in that. So do I think they had a hand in this whole Genesis deal? Yeah. It's like I said in the previous question, when I answered the previous question, Sega basically, from what I understand, approached Archie Comics to have them do sort of a tie-in, or at least some kind of comic or story arc or whatever, to tie in with the franchise's 20th anniversary, and that's why I believe Genesis was developed. I don't think Genesis would have turned out the way it did, but I think because Sega had a hand in it, saying, "Hey, we need something to celebrate the 20th anniversary. Can you do something?" My guess is he influenced all the opportunities. So to help to have his story tie in with the anniversary. So honestly, I do think they've had a hand in it. I think they've had a hand in several of the story arcs, major or minor, or not necessary, if you will, within Archie Comics' Sonic the Hedgehog comic book. I think they truly have. Do I think they'll have more than a hand in the near future? Is the question I have on my mind, and I think they will still have more of a hand. And this is what really worries a lot of fans, because Paul Kaminsky, who's the editor, or one of the head editors, basically told various magazines and online sites and news sources that Amy Rose is going to have a bigger role in the near future. Well, not a bigger role, but that Amy Rose is going to be needed by Sonic for help. Sonic's going to need her help. And this is what worries a lot of longtime fans of, let's say, the cartoon, of the comic, and all that, because Sally to them had always been the prime female, the main female lead, if you will. And now a lot of fans are worried about the fact that Amy is being primed by not just the people at Archie Comics, but mostly at the urging of Sega, to take Sally's place as the lead female and probably the love interest for Sonic. But I don't think that's going to happen, because Sega's even come out themselves and said Sonic does not need a love interest. He doesn't have a girlfriend. I mean, he can have a girlfriend, but it can't be like permanent. It can't be leading into marriage and stuff like that. So honestly, again, getting back to the question, yeah, I truly think Sega's had a hand in this, and I think they're going to have more than a hand in the near future. I hate to say that.